For, well, decades, the way universities have gone about finding top talent has barely changed. But here's a thought. What if that entire model is actually broken? Today, we're digging into how academic recruitment is evolving all around the globe and looking at how new technology and really a whole new approach are completely shaking things up. All right, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll unpack why things have been so stagnant. Then, we'll get into the revolution in global reach that's happening right now. After that, we'll talk about how to access talent you couldn't find before, look at the tech that makes it all happen, and finally, see how this whole new model is disrupting the old guard. So first things first, we've got to talk about the core problem. The tools that have been used for academic hiring for years, well, they're kind of stuck in the past. And in today's fast-moving global market, they're just not cutting it anymore. And this, right here, is the question every single talent leader in academia needs to be asking themselves. Seriously, is the way you've always done things still the best way to attract the world's sharpest minds? Because if it's not, you're not just falling behind, you're missing out on the very people who define your institution's future. I love this phrase from the source material we're looking at. It says that most job boards have become nothing more than digital filing cabinets. Let's really unpack what that means, because it's a powerful idea. So here's the deal. A digital filing cabinet is totally passive. You post a job, you pay a pretty hefty price, and then you just, cross your fingers and wait? It puts all of the work on the candidate to somehow stumble upon your listing. And as we're about to see, that strategy just doesn't work anymore. Okay, so let's flip this around and look at the new model, which is all about being proactive and achieving some frankly unbelievable growth. The numbers here, well, they paint a really clear picture of a massive shift in the industry. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at the contrast on the slide. The industry average for traffic growth on those old legacy job boards is limping along at less than 2%. Meanwhile, newer platforms are seeing explosive growth. A perfect example is AcademicJobs.com. It's seeing 1,000% increase. 1,000! And you see that same trend across the board, from global ranking to keyword recognition. Let's just pause on that number for a second. Over 1,000% growth. That's not just a little improvement. That is a complete disruption. It shows you exactly where both institutions and academics are now focusing their attention. The momentum is undeniable. And look, this isn't just about abstract traffic numbers or clicks. This kind of growth is built on trust from the world's most prestigious universities. I mean, when you see names like Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, and MIT all getting on board with a new platform, that's a huge signal. It tells you the global standard is changing. But here's the thing, right? Having a massive reach is great, but are you actually reaching the right people? The next big idea here is about looking beyond that small handful of candidates who are actively scrolling through job ads. Take a look at this. This chart is so revealing. It shows that only about 15% of people in higher ed are actively looking for a new job at any given time. That means a staggering 85%. The vast majority are what we call passive talent. They aren't looking, but you know what? They might just be open to the perfect opportunity if it found them. And that is the fatal flaw of that digital filing cabinet model we talked about. It's built from the ground up to serve only that tiny 15% slice. So if your whole strategy relies on people finding your job posting, you are completely invisible to almost everyone you could possibly hire. So what's the fix? Well, it's about building an entire ecosystem where academics are already showing up every single day. By giving them valuable resources, things like professional directories, career news, personalized dashboards, you attract that huge 85% of passive talent long before they even think about typing new job into a search bar. Okay, so how does this all work without creating a mountain of extra work? Let's talk about the tech that actually powers this whole ecosystem. The goal is simple. Automate the boring stuff so recruiters can focus on what they do best, finding amazing candidates. It really boils down to a super simple 3-step process. First, you sync all your open roles instantly with an API feed, no more manual posting. Second, smart AI gets to work, proactively finding and matching the right candidates to your roles. And third, you can track everything with clear, real-time analytics. It's all about maximum impact for minimum effort. And finally, let's talk about the philosophy behind the business itself, which might be the biggest disruption of all. It really comes down to a clash between two totally different ways of operating in the academic world. So this slide lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have that traditional model, often owned by private equity. The focus there is typically on shareholder returns, and it often involves those clunky legacy platforms. But on the other side, you're seeing a rise in founder-led models. These platforms position themselves as being directly accountable to the academic community, focusing on being nimble, global, and having a completely different cost structure. And that difference in philosophy, it's not just talk. It translates into huge, real-world savings. According to our source, this founder-led approach can offer a discount of over 60% compared to the old guard. That's a direct challenge to the way things have been priced for decades.
In this quote from the founder, Jared Konazai, just nails it. It's not about being a cheaper copy, it's about being fundamentally better, more modern, more responsive, and built from the ground up for what the global higher education community actually needs today. So let's bring it all home. Transforming your talent strategy really comes down to these three key things. Unlimited job postings for a simple flat fee, which lets you control your budget. Zero admin work through automation, which saves you incredible amounts of time. And proactive AI headhunting, so you can finally reach that hidden 85% of talent.
And we'll just end with this thought. When you think about that massive pool of untapped talent out there, and the new tools we now have to reach them, maybe the biggest risk isn't trying something new. Maybe the biggest risk is sticking with a model that was built for a world that just doesn't exist anymore. Is your institution ready to play by the new rules?